Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
One of the things holding you back from these things is Spartan's continued payment issue. Can you talk to us a bit about how it's affected you?
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily like it's not that I don't race anymore because of it,
Right.
but I'm hesitant going back to US events and supporting a brand that doesn't owe up to its commitments to athletes. Like I don't live paycheck by paycheck, so like the fact that they haven't paid yet is not that I can't really afford, you know, my rent or anything like that. But I just feel like if you are going to promise something, and if you are going to advertise prize money, people spend, they spend their income to get to the race that maybe they wouldn't gone there if it didn't advertise prize money. So like if you have two events that are both equally fun, one is at your front door and the other one is 2 hour flight away, but the one that's 2 hour flight away, you might put your resources into that. So I think it's fair to pay up what you offer that you're gonna pay. And I just know there have been delays with prize money. People haven't been getting, just like medals and things like that should be really easy to give to people. And also, everybody still owed the travel stipend from 2022. So we all put our own resources into it, and we executed on our commitments, and then Spartan hasn't on their end. They have said they will be caught up with payments by the end of this year, but they have said many things. So we'll wait to see what happens. But for sure, if I do race now, I would go to races that are close by and that they don't require a lot of my own capital to get there, because there are so many of those that are super interesting, that I don't need to travel far,
Hmm.
especially because you're not sure if you're ever going to see that return on investment.
Yeah, I've always said, and this has been a problem for years. Unfortunately, this isn't a new issue, but I've always said that Spartan is either like evil or like inept, like incapable. Like I don't understand what it is that like
Yeah.
I know the pandemic hit hard. It hit a lot of the events industry really hard, hotel industry, like a lot of people, but there's certain things that it's like, okay, that there's it's communication. Like you need to tell people what they should expect. And Joe and Yancey went on the OCR Report podcast and said that 80% of athletes should be paid by September 1st. And it's currently September 8th. And I'm in talks with a lot of them. It doesn't sound, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
believe it to be 80%, but they just keep
For sure
saying
it's not
this.
80. Because
And
there's a lot of us on the travel stipend that haven't been paid yet. And
right. It's super frustrating too because the sport isn't doing as well in the United States and largely North America too. And when I talk to my European friends, they're like, well, why? And I kind of figure that like Spartan is our main race that we have. That we have lots of other fun races, but a lot of them have kind of died off a little bit. Whereas in Europe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you have a lot more local races and like more international flavor than just Spartan. Is that why you think it's doing better there and you guys are getting paid if it's a paid race?
I don't know for the like availability of races, because in Slovenia there aren't. But that's just, I think, the nature of Slovenian people and what they like to do. And maybe the obstacle races aren't the most popular. Even the Spartan race gets majority of foreign athletes competing, and not so many Slovenians. But I think it's just that the prize money isn't advertised here for most of the races. So people, you get what you expect. I think if it wasn't advertised in US and people would know that signing up, they would sign up knowing they're not gonna get any prize money. And when it is advertised, it's paid right away. So I don't necessarily think it's the issue of like doing what you're saying you're gonna do.
Right.
Um, and like I understand things have been hard since COVID, but I also feel like there was capital because Spartan has bought other things. So maybe it was more of a problem of prioritizing what they're gonna put their money into it, and maybe hoping people were gonna forget their own money, which I don't think is, the nicest way to go about things.
Right.
Um,
It seemed very circular. Like there's a big push, like athletes getting together, like, all right, we're gonna come up with like a class action lawsuit, something's gonna happen, and Spartan's like it does something to kind of like dissolve things a little bit, but not
yeah,
completely. And then it like starts to build up again like every few years, and it's frustrating to see history repeat itself. And I love the sport, but I need the athletes to be taken care of because it needs to be like the top end of the sport still. Um, yeah, super frustrating.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about like what the travel stipend was? Because when people think about payment, they just think of like prize money, but there's other factors as well. There's like sponsorship deals, this and that. What was the travel stipend?
Yeah, so that was in 2022 when I think that was the last year that the pro team was like in the form that it was back then. And there was tier one, which was $4,000, and tier two, which was $1,500. And it came with obligations to go to a certain number of races and make a certain number of posts. And I don't remember exactly how many of us were on tier one and how many were on tier two, but combined, I believe there are 87 or 88 athletes that were on the travel stipend. And so I know that I can't speak for every single person, but I know that people that I do know, they fulfilled their obligations in terms of going to races and making posts about it. And so did I. And then I just kind of, we didn't, there was no, in the contract, there's no date for when the travel stipend was going to be paid.
Gotcha.
And I kind of forgot about it. And I actually remembered when, because they use this platform, build.com. And I was getting paid for something else, and I got a notification. So I went there, and then I saw that there was still this open payment invoice from Spartan from 2022. And then I reached out to them. I was like, hey, is this ever going to be paid? And then I kept getting the emails. Yeah, where like, thanks for being patient. Thanks for sticking up with us. Because of you, we still exist. But I feel like it's the generic email everybody gets.
Hmm.
And I'm just wondering what would happen if I never saw that or like remember they owe me. They probably would never have paid. So I think it's like huge kudos to, I think Nicole was like behind the initiative of getting us all together, because I think as a single person, there's just nothing you can achieve because you can't really sue them because it's going to cost you more than what they owe you.
Right.
And there's nothing else you can do than just keep asking. So yeah, so it's, I think collectively they owe like, well, actually, it's not 88 athletes. I forget. I think it might be 27 athletes, but they owe 88,000
Okay.
for all the travel stipends to, I think, 27 or something like that athletes. But it's quite a number of us.
Yeah, it is, and it's a lot to promise, but it when you say you're going to do something, you should do it. And
Yeah, so I think that's all
yeah,
we've been asking is like just give us a transparent timeline of what's happening and when things are happening. But when they keep telling you later, 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 but later never happens, I think that's all we're asking for is like you committed to this, we signed a contract, we fulfilled our end of things. When do you plan on fulfilling your end of things? And we just haven't been getting a concrete answer.